Welcome to the video. Today I'm giving you 5 tips to help you build more muscle while staying lean. So make sure you stick around till the end of the video so you get all 5 tips and you can see the best possible results. A few of the tips I'm going to go over very briefly because there's not as much to go into, but for others I'm going to go into more detail so that you can have all the information you need to best execute them. And if you end up getting value from this video, go ahead and subscribe to my channel because I make new videos just like this every single week. So tip number 1 is getting enough sleep. This is a massively underrated aspect of building muscle because we need to give our body time to rest and recover and rebuild itself from doing these harder workouts and focusing on building muscle. And in my opinion, you should give yourself a good 7 to 9 hours of sleep in a muscle building phase to make sure that you are building muscle back, because when we're training, that's what we're doing. We're breaking down muscle tissue and it builds back a little bit more each time, right? So without adequate sleep and without getting good quality sleep, you're going to be less likely to build muscle properly. Tip number 2 is that you need to be effectively strength training. Now, please listen to this whole section very carefully to make sure that you're doing this right, because we all already know that we should be strength training. We should be working out in order to build muscle. We probably all know that. However, you also need to be effectively strength training. And there's plenty of people who go to the gym 5 times a week and have been doing so for years who haven't built any muscle. So that's why we need to make sure that we're doing it effectively. And in my opinion, there's 3 main things that encompass strength training effectively that I'm going to go over with you here very quickly right now. So in my opinion, the 3 main factors that are going to go into if you're actually training effectively is your routine, the form that you're using in your workouts, and the difficulty of your workouts. So I'll touch upon each of those 3 very quickly. First, the routine that you're following. You need to have a strength training routine that is well balanced and structured so that you're hitting each muscle group in the week and you're not neglecting any particular muscle groups. You're not just training the muscles you like the best and skipping over the ones that you don't like as much, but it's actually a well-balanced routine. You've got the proper amount of frequency in your routine, meaning you're hitting each muscle group probably once or twice per week, and that you're doing an effective amount of exercises for each muscle group, as well as the proper amount of sets and reps for each of those exercises. So next up is using proper form. So your form and technique are massively important when it comes to working out, and you could be lifting 1,000,000 pounds in the gym and actually not build any muscle because your form isn't right on your exercises, and therefore you're not actually targeting the muscle group that you want to work, and you're not actually fatiguing that muscle group effectively in order to build muscle. And what you need to do is really work on building that mind-muscle connection in your workouts. And what I mean by that is when you're doing a particular exercise, you're actually thinking about that specific muscle group contracting on each and every rep and making sure that that muscle is actually responsible for the weight moving, and you're not using momentum or you're not recruiting other muscle groups to help lift the weight, and that you're just focusing on that muscle group that you're working in that particular exercise. And the third piece to training effectively is the difficulty of your workouts. What's important is that you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone on each and every set that you do in your workouts. And that means choosing an appropriate weight that is going to help you get close to failure. And what I personally do and what I recommend to my clients is training only between 1 and 3 reps away till absolute failure, meaning you can't even complete 1 more rep. So you should only be between 1, 2, or 3 reps away from not being able to do any more reps at all. And I would go out on a limb and say that this is probably the most common mistake I see people make in their workouts, which is not getting that close to failure, as close as they need to get. What probably 90 to 95% of people who are working out actually do is they do their 10 reps or however many reps they're doing, but with the weight that they've selected, they could probably do another 5 reps or even another 10 reps if they really, really needed to, or if like their life was on the line, they could probably do another 10 reps with that weight they've chosen. And that's the point. You need to be closer to failure than that. You need to select a weight that allows you to get those same 10 reps, but you're way closer to failure. And there's no way you'd be able to get 13 or 14 reps with that weight, even to save your life. So all three of these things encompass training effectively and making sure that you're actually doing the things necessary in your workouts to build muscle. Tip number 3 to building more muscle and staying lean is to take a long-term approach. And in my opinion, if you're doing a muscle building phase or a lean bulking phase, you should probably commit at least 6 months to doing so. And the reason for that is because it's not like fat loss where you can lose 10 or 20 or 30 pounds in just a few months. Building muscle takes a lot more time if you want to do it the right way and if you want to avoid gaining fat along with the muscle. So I personally have been doing a muscle building phase or a lean bulking phase for like almost 2 years now. And because the longer that this phase is, the more progress you'll be able to see because you can only build so much muscle in a given month. I personally am aiming for gaining between 1 and 2 pounds of muscle mass per month. So that's a really slow and gradual progression, but the reason why I'm aiming for that specific range of 1 to 2 pounds per month is because I know that at that rate of gain, I've got a good chance and a good opportunity that the majority of that weight is muscle mass. Whereas if I was gaining 5 or 10 pounds in a month, you better believe that a good chunk of that would be body fat and it wouldn't just be muscle mass. So if you're watching this and you're hoping to build a lot of muscle very, very quickly, like maybe 5 or 10 or 15 pounds in just 1 or 2 months, just use this as a little bit of a wake-up call that those expectations are not very realistic and very few people can gain just muscle that quickly. So you should kind of adjust your mindset and adjust your expectations and understand that building muscle is a long-term game. And tip number 4 is to eat a higher protein diet. And I'm going to give you a range of kind of what you should be expecting as far as how much protein to actually eat. A lot of people say just eat 1 gram of protein per day per pound that you weigh. And I used to think this too, many, many years ago. And the truth is this is wildly inaccurate for some types of people. If there's someone who's 300 pounds, they should not be eating 300 grams of protein per day. And take me, for example, I weigh about 160 pounds, but I eat 200 grams of protein per day. So I'm going to give you a calculation that is much more accurate and is much more relevant to probably you watching who wants to build some lean muscle, right? So what I recommend doing is taking your lean body mass and multiplying that by anywhere from 1.2 to 1.5. So to find out what your lean body mass is, you can do a quick Google search and type in, how do I figure out my lean body mass? And it's pretty easy. Now, should you multiply your lean body mass by 1.2 or 1.3 or 1.4 or 1.5? So what I recommend is the leaner you are, if you consider yourself leaner, go closer to 1.2. And if you consider yourself maybe more overweight or a little bigger, then go closer to 1.5. And if you have any questions about that, what you can do is multiply your lean body mass by both 1.2 and then separately multiply your lean body mass by 1.5, and that will give you a range of how many grams of protein you should eat in a day, and you can pick somewhere in the middle that you feel comfortable with. And finally, tip number 5 is to eat in a slight calorie surplus. And this really does depend on what your primary goals are. If your primary goals are to build muscle, even if it means you'll lose a little bit of definition and gain some weight, then that's fine. And you can eat in a calorie surplus of maybe 200 to 300 calories over maintenance, or maybe more than that. But if staying lean is more important to you than building muscle a little bit faster, then for you it may be more appropriate to eat right around calorie maintenance, or maybe only 100 or 200 calories above maintenance. And the truth is, for the right person, you can actually build muscle in a calorie deficit and in a fat loss phase, but a lot of things need to go right and need to add up in order to actually make that happen. Like, you've probably got to be a beginner, newly starting a proper workout routine, being consistent with it, having the right nutrition in place, eating an adequate amount of protein. So I've seen that happen plenty of times with a lot of clients of mine who are new to strength training. That being said, it's not going to give you the best possible chance at just building muscle mainly. You'll be losing fat while building a little bit of muscle. But if you're eating closer to calorie maintenance or in a surplus, that's going to give you the best opportunity, no matter who you are, in order to build more muscle. So there you go, man. Those are my 5 tips to help you build more muscle while staying lean. Now, if you've said to yourself in your head, I want to build lean muscle, just know that there's really no such thing as lean muscle or non-lean muscle or bulky muscle. There's just muscle mass, and then there's fat mass, right? So if you're building muscle, there's not a specific type of muscle you need to build. And when people say, I want to build lean muscle, generally what I interpret that as meaning is they want to build some muscle and see some definition in their body, but they don't want to get overly big or muscular, but they want to remain lean and remain at a lower body fat percentage. So these 5 tips are really built around achieving that, helping you to build more muscle while staying lean or limiting fat gain along the way as you're building more muscle. So I hope that makes sense. I hope this is helpful. And if it is, go ahead, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, because I'll make more videos just like this every single week. And I will see you on the next one.